Tonight, anger in the streets across America. Massive crowds gathering again to protest the death of George Floyd. In cities from coast to coast, peaceful protests marred as violence erupts. Stores looted and destroyed. Vehicles set on fire. In New York, an officer appearing to pull his gun on demonstrators. In Louisville, a man shot and killed as police broke up a crowd. The chief late today fired. New curfews going into effect tonight with the National Guard activated in 20 states. Also the powerful moment, Floyd's brother visiting the memorial at the scene of that deadly encounter. His powerful message about the violence, and late today, the results of two separate autopsies. What they reveal. President Trump lashing out at the nation's governors, what he told them about dominating the protesters. And could the president use a 213-year-old law to deploy active duty military in American cities? New COVID concerns as protests in the middle of the pandemic. Health experts in one major city urging them to self-quarantine for 14 days. And amid the chaos, the images giving hope to so many tonight.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. The shattered glass from a night of rage has largely been swept up here in New York's Soho neighborhood and communities across the country that were rocked by spasms of looting and violence overnight. Now the ritual of boarding up takes place and bracing for what tonight may bring. An anguished and weary America asking, when will this all end? When will the protests end? When will the police brutality that triggered them end? The virus, the financial ruin that have taken us to the edge, when will they end? Tonight, as an independent autopsy reveals new information about George Floyd's death in police custody, his brother tonight is sending a poignant and powerful message. We're covering it all, starting with Ron Allen. Ron, what's the latest?
Lester, New York's mayor just changed course and ordered a curfew from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning as we gear up for more huge demonstrations for the possibility of more violence. You can see the crowds already gathering in the streets. Police are also gearing up, doubling the number of patrols in parts of the city where there's been trouble. Across the country, an ominous pattern. No justice! No peace! Huge peaceful protests by day demanding justice for George Floyd.
To those who want to turn this into something that it's not, please stop.
Then, mostly under the cover of darkness, violence erupted, with chaos lasting well into the night. In New York, intense street battles between police and people brazenly targeting some of the city's most exclusive neighborhoods. Famous name shops like Chanel destroyed and robbed.
It breaks my heart that there are people undermining what the protesters are doing. It's just wrong.
Residents capturing it all on their cell phones.
This is on this corner. They're all looting Chanel there, just jumping out the window.
Police blame armed, organized criminals using the demonstrations as cover for the violence. Today, NYPD asking the public to help identify at least two suspects in the surveillance video wanted for allegedly firebombing a police vehicle on Friday. While at the same time, NYPD faces growing outrage, accused of using overly aggressive tactics like shoving a protester and driving a vehicle into a crowd. This video appears to show a police officer brandishing a gun at demonstrators. The NYPD says the incident is under internal review.
That officer should have his gun and badge taken away today.
In Louisville, gunfire killed business owner David McAtee during a protest.
He was innocent. He wasn't doing it. I mean, it makes no sense.
Today, authorities said 2 officers and 2 National Guard soldiers returned fire as they dispersed a crowd. The mayor says the 2 officers are on administrative leave because their body cameras were not activated in violation of policy. It's unclear who fired the fatal shot. The police chief relieved of duty. The protest originally over the police shooting of Breonna Taylor last March. Her mother today.
This is so much bigger than her, but we can't get justice with violence. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't help.
In Oklahoma, at least 3 people were hurt after a truck drove into a crowd of protesters on an interstate. In Boston, where thousands of demonstrators converged on the state capitol, police say they were attacked by a barrage of bricks and bottles. Fire exploding on the Boston Common. This fashionable shopping district set to reopen this morning after months shut down because of COVID-19, cleaning up after the mayhem. Ron Allen, NBC News, New York.
I'm Miguel Almaguer. From Colorado to California, Nearly every protest started peaceful until unrest erupted into chaos. With stores looted, businesses torched, and violent arrests made,
you don't need to put her down like that!
4 days of chaos are on the verge of another night of mayhem. In Santa Monica, the famed 3rd Street Promenade overrun by a mob. Police making dozens of arrests while squaring off with crowds along the iconic pier.
They hijacked our protest. I don't even think they know what they're protesting. They just wanted a reason to break windows.
As some peacefully protested, others provoked confrontation.
Heads up, heads up, heads up!
Officers firing tear gas and projectiles into crowds.
Police here are now pushing forward. They're moving all of these protesters back because the situation here is unraveling.
In Los Angeles, a state of emergency as buildings were torched again. From Beverly Hills to Long Beach, millions in damage.
It's overwhelming. Hurt.
Mark Robles, comforted by the National Guard, says small businesses pay the biggest price.
I saw it all unfold last night on the news, but being here, seeing it in person, this is horrible.
With banks burned and roads blocked, in San Diego, City Hall and a shopping district was trashed. Across the country, it was often demonstrators trying to stop agitators from destroying so